Just like colorful leaves and cool nights mean back to school for kids, gunshots, blaze orange coats, and that unmistakable smell of gunpowder in the air can only mean one thing for hunters. Deer season is almost here, and that means the time to get ready is almost gone.
Well, there's a trip to the store to get food, sighting in the rifle. Got to get some beer. That sauna takes a lot out of you. And making the phone calls, making sure everybody's bringing the stuff they're responsible to bring, and making those deposits in the emotional bank account for the wife so she'll allow you to go away for the weekend.
Even after all the work hunters have put into getting ready for the big day tomorrow, when most of them stumble into the dark woods in the morning, they're not going to care so much about seeing deer as they are about appreciating some of life's finer points.
For me, it's a time where I get together with past friends, the guys that I don't see maybe once a year. But it's also a time you get to spend alone and be alone in the woods and maybe have some time to yourself, think about life, think about what happened this past year, and it's hard to explain.
While hunters get to enjoy their version of a spring break, the sporting goods shops and liquor stores in the area get to enjoy an early Christmas.
Yeah, it's probably our second busiest day of the year. It really goes nuts.
It sounds like deer hunters have good reason to go nuts this year. Deer numbers are finally back up, and the bucks seem to be on the move.
Yeah, it's looking really good. A lot of guys are seeing deer by the roads now, and some people with the feeder are seeing bucks coming in and chasing does around, so it's looking really good.
I'm Craig Zleeman for News 6.
Joe Gomer was just 22 years old when he enlisted. He already had his pilot's license before entering the service, so it only made sense that Gomer become a pilot. But for an African-American man in the 1940s, flying a plane for the United States was almost out of the question. But Joe Gomer's passion ran deeply. He loved to fly and he loved his country. And through strength and determination, Gomer got his wish. In fact, he was part of history when he became a Tuskegee Airman, an elite black flying group that saw combat. But they also saw something else during the war: segregation.
Well, we were a segregated outfit at that time. We shared the skies, but that was it.
Gomer took time from his workout to show us old war photos, letters, and a well-preserved pilot's logbook. He kept a record of every mission.
We were shifting back from P-47s, checking out, and P-39s. You got to remember now, these were all single-seaters. So you read the book and then you took off.
Gomer logged just under 3,000 hours in the air during the war. His job was to protect the bomber planes flown by white pilots. It took several years, though, before some of those bomber pilots thanked Joe and his guys for all the protection.
But I joined the 459th Bomb Unit at their 13th annual reunion. And quite a number of them thanked me for, on behalf of the Tuskegee Airmen, and for them, because they never had a chance. We saved their butts on a number of occasions, but they never had a chance to thank us.
Now it seems Joe is getting the credit he deserves. He's frequently asked to speak about his wartime experiences, and through his talks with young and old alike, he's able to keep the greatest generation's legacy alive.
Well, as I explained to one fourth grader, he wondered why I worked so hard to get in to fight, considering the way the country treated us. And I had to explain to him that I was probably more American than he was.
But don't tell Joe Gomer he's a war hero. He won't accept it. He says he was only doing his duty.
No, the heroes have crosses on top of them.
So you're not a hero?
No, all the ones that didn't come home, they're the heroes.
Well, I have several concerns about the line: health concerns, environmental concerns, whether we really need the power line coming through this part of the state. A major concern for me is that it comes through my property.
sweetie.
You're semi-starved all the time, you know. Anytime you had any free time, you should want to sleep. That's the only way you live through it, I think.
The depot is an especially appropriate site for Veterans Memorial Hall. Thousands of war-bound men and women from the Spanish-American War through the Vietnam War used this facility as a point of departure. Immigrant fathers and mothers arrived here seeking freedom and later bid their sons and daughters farewell as they left to defend freedom. History was made here. Now it is being preserved here.
Loggers are having a field day with the fallen trees at the edge of the Boundary Waters. It's hard to tell this land is actually a camp where nearly 4,000 Boy Scouts from across the country spend part of their summer. 450 Boy Scouts and their guides were caught out in the wilderness area and border lakes when the thrashing winds and rain ripped through the area.
We've got, right now, signed up just for this next year, 3,700 participants.
Scout Camp Manager Doug Herdler says next year is getting booked up, but he's leery about having so many children around with the new risk of a catastrophic wildfire. That's why the Scout base is now being logged out, less fuel for the blaze. The camp sits right on a Boundary Waters lake, but that's of little comfort.
Any place that you look around here, a 2-mile area, and you don't have enough lakes that are 2 miles across in order to protect an area. So they're saying that you're safe when you finally get to Lake Superior. And that's a major concern, I think, for everybody in this area.
It was a fire that looked something like this.
Wednesday, the Forest Service called a public meeting to discuss the dangerous conditions. Dying timber strewn across 377,000 acres means fire danger like never before.
The first step is to do some things before the fire starts, and that's really important, is to do some things that are going to reduce the potential for the fire to get large and to spread rapidly, and that's the treatments.
The Forest Service is proposing several preemptive strikes to decrease the risk for people and property. Prescribed burns, campfire bans, more fire crews and more equipment on standby. Evacuation plans for several areas have yet to be drawn up. Some other options, closing hiking trails in dry times and improving telephone and television services in remote areas. Of these, the supervised burning of 10,000 acres a year could offer the best containment of a fire, but the Forest Service says an environmental impact study must be done first. That could take a year to complete, and residents at Wednesday's meeting felt that could be too long. Fire experts say the danger will be peaking as early as next spring. They say it's not a question of if there'll be fires, rather, when will they strike?
You're going to be looking at fires that are very difficult to suppress and contain. They are going to move into a plume-dominated fire and have smoke columns that go to great heights. And you can expect long-range spotting associated with those also.
The Ely Forest Service ranger says people shouldn't be afraid to visit the BWCA, but residents and business operators near the wilderness hope safety measures are taken soon.
We could have a serious problem if something isn't done.
At the edge of the Boundary Waters, Jason Rice, News 6.
Reasons. I think a significant factor for him was the family concerns regarding his family and their feelings. I know he's had family members who've been encouraging him to help them, I guess, get closure, to come forward and discuss what really did happen.
Attorney Pat O'Neill says he wasn't surprised when his client, Patrick Allen Peterson, wanted to enter a plea bargain.
I know that he is really torn up inside about what has occurred. I mean, it was his father that was killed. He had difficult times with his father. He had good times with his father. I mean, he's struggling to reconcile within himself the scope of his responsibility.
This afternoon, Peterson pleaded guilty to being party to the crime of first-degree homicide, which means he took part with others in discussing and planning the murder of his father. He also admitted to hiding the corpse and taking part in gang activity. In court, Peterson said he was coerced into the crime, and if he wouldn't have cooperated, he and other family members could have been killed. He said he made a mistake and didn't take the other gang members seriously. In exchange for his plea, Peterson will give authorities a detailed description of what happened the night his father was killed, and will be subpoenaed to testify against the other 3 gang members involved.
Hopefully, when this is all over with, we'll have a much clearer picture and understand who really was responsible and to what extent they were responsible.
In Superior, Jody Grayson, News 6.
Wearing his bathrobe and these things.
Jody is in our flannel pajama boxers and matching shirt and misty green plaid. Polar. This outfit. Notice the graphic on the back of their shirts. It's the Harley Man of 2000.
This is the real old fat. That's too bad I was on this end of the line. You should have been the first in line.
It's incredible here. I don't know how many people are on the other room, but it's just incredible here, and I thank each and every one of them for coming down today.
If you want to have a seat, it'll take a few minutes. Sure, that's fine. It'll be done in just a second. Okay. Can I get,
I was able to get along, and I'm still trying to figure everything out. It's just a lot more paperwork and a lot of going around finding out who to talk to about it.
Do you have a lot of time to do that stuff?
No, it's kind of annoying actually, but I'm doing it.
Oh, I see. This is fall 2000.
Everything's fall 2000.
So really, the
Top
first
of the
time this
business
thing is be up going with.
Were we to extend this drawing, my understanding is that 50/50.
And what did you do for yellow checker cat?
I drove cat.
All right, gentlemen, that's a highlight
personally observed what appeared to be the side of a human head and just checked for signs of life.
Let me stop you there for a second. I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 15. Do you recognize what's in that photo?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That is, after we took the tarp off, conducting a search warrant on the boat. That is a blue tarp with a 45-pound weight attached, and inside that tarp is a human body.
Now what does that mean?
It's what we pick up that night between two cabins.
Were you working in that capacity on the night of July 4th, 1999?
Yes, I was. Were we to extend this drawing, my understanding is that 55th Avenue.
And you'll hear him ask some questions about if Patrick pulled the trigger, what if? You'll hear that he was challenged and he quickly changed the tone of those comments. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that evidence would be very important evidence in this case.
Hi there. Hi. Help you? Kay Johnson for surgery.
Kay Johnson has traveled from Duluth to Winnipeg to save $3,000 on eye surgery. After a series of eye exams the day before, she is now ready for a final exam with the ophthalmologist who will perform the surgery.
Yeah, are you all dressed up and ready to go?
I'm rested and ready to go.
First, iodine is rubbed on Kay's face. The surgery room is cold and a constant buzzing noise is heard from the laser equipment.
I'm going to ask you not to cross your legs at all, okay? Now you can open your eyes.
Kay's eyelids are taped back and a speculum is inserted to open the eye surface. A suction cup is inserted directly onto the eye. Then the computer makes an incision and the doctor peels back the cornea. The doctor begins lasering the tissue in the eye. We hear a buzzing noise, smell flesh burning, and see puffs of smoke. After 10 minutes or so, the surgery is complete.
Was it a lot more painful than you expected it?
The pain was minimal.
Did the surgery take? Remember how poor Kay's vision was just the day before.
2 fingers? No? 3? I'm guessing. Okay, I can see 4.
Now, out of surgery less than 2 minutes, Kay's vision is almost 20/70, and it will improve in the next 24 hours.
It was like a science fiction movie. It was so bizarre that we watched the red flashing light and you can smell the tissue and hear the sounds. It's unreal.
American eye surgeon Roger Berglund is concerned about the quality of care patients receive in Canada.
I don't like seeing cut rate things in medicine. I think people should concentrate more on the quality aspects and then let the price be where it has to be.
Dr. Berglund operates clinics in Duluth, Virginia, and Ashland. He says patients traveling very far away need to remember not all surgery is perfect.
LASIK surgery is a nice operation because most all the time there aren't major complications. But if a major complication should occur, it has to be dealt with immediately. And if your doctor happens to be a number of hours or a day away, then that could jeopardize things.
Still, the clinic in Canada defends its high-volume, low-cost approach.
Does high volume mean less care or?
Not at all. Not at all. It's the way we're set up. You get the same care and the same quality. It's just, you have to remember, all our staff is highly trained. They all have their own job. And the surgeon does refractive surgery all day. That's what he does.
And the word is getting out. In any given week, you can find at least 2 or 3 Duluth residents at the Winnipeg Clinic. People like Barb Golan.
I talked to a friend in Duluth and she had hers done, and she had come up here to get it done.
Like Kay Johnson, 4 days after surgery, we meet her at her Caribou Lake home.
I went back to the clinic the following morning, 24 hours after the surgery. I checked out at 20/25 in my right eye and 20/30 in my left eye, and that was 24 hours post-surgery. So
a new set of eyes and a new way of looking at things.
It was 100% worth it for me.
Worth it going to Canada?
Absolutely.
Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Good boy. There we go. He'll do tricks for it.
Yeah. And then we go like this, and then
We had other cities and states on consideration, but at this point, it's ridiculous to even pursue them.
Well, because I was in it at the same time that I was doing.
I'm sitting in the kitchen, and Pat's over there by the window. He's looking out the window, and his dad's laying on the couch, sleeping, and then he turns around and he shoots his dad in the head. Yes, sir.
And your mother just lives up,
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. And,
Sitting in the kitchen, and Pat's over there by the window. He's looking out the window, and his dad's laying on the couch.
Well, I think
What did Patrick do that made the whole...
if anyone's paying attention, it should send a message to young people that are thinking about gangs or getting hooked into gangs or in gangs, wondering if it's the right way to go, that it really can take you down a bad path and lead to the worst possible consequences.
Was it hard for you, or was it hard for the case when Patrick Peterson wasn't able to take the stand anymore?
You're not going?
They're among the best and the brightest, but increasingly, U of M officials say what their students are doing is anything but.
This is a group that is showing that they are using tobacco at unprecedented levels. The long-term risk for this population is incredible.
Surveys of students ages 18 to 24 show that 42% of them smoke. Among first-year students, that number shoots up to 53%. Since 1992, the number of freshmen who pick up the habit here has jumped 150%.
It's a major problem right now. It is affecting over half of the first-year students.
Not surprised at all. I mean, I think it'd be surprising if kids didn't start smoking.
Junior Jess Takusis has been smoking for 7 years, but he says lots of kids start once school does.
My ex-girlfriend, when I was a freshman, she never would think of smoking, and when she got to college, she started smoking just because all her friends in college started smoking.
I know it was bad for me the minute I had my first one, but it didn't matter.
Sophomore Denise Boma says the problem isn't that students don't know the dangers.
It's readily available, and is stress level and peers and everything. It's just part of the college scene, I suppose.
It's sad, but it's not surprising.
Dr. Mark Manley directs the Tobacco Reduction Center at Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Kids of this age have been targeted by big tobacco with their advertising for about a decade.
Here you go. Here's the perfect example.
Joe Camel may be gone, but now tobacco companies are sponsoring events at bars that cater to college students.
As I run those by the college students, they think they are really cool.
And that's why health officials say the time to do something about it is now.
It is a significant public health problem.
I saw P. House the other day walk in his car.
Holds the opportunities that we're going to have to win as many games as we can. The national tournament, of course, is a big step for me and the team, and also I think just getting the record as high as I can, just so it will be staying in, unbreakable for some time, hopefully.
The 2-0 start and Jen Quayle's record-breaking performance bode well for the rest of the season, according to Coach Diedrich.
I feel like we've started on the right foot, and I'm just looking, we're looking up. Hopefully we can end with more wins than we did last year.
In Duluth, Dave.
Sport is very fundamental to what I think it's fundamental as we look at expansion nationally with some of the products and tools that
maybe bring corporate up here, and you can come up here eventually. I would appreciate it. So with that, congratulations, welcome, and if I can open up to you for any kind of competition.
Because there were no technical jobs, this gives those Duluthians an opportunity to make
support of e-commerce. I think it's fundamental as we look at expansion nationally with some of the products and tools that we have.
If you surf the internet long enough, you're sure to come across some pretty strange websites. I found one such site in dumblaws.com, a commercial site that keeps a listing of strange and bizarre laws around the world, including some here in the Northland that couldn't possibly be true.
I picked one of those laws. It was listed for Hibbing, so I took off for the range to prove that the website was wrong. The so-called law on the site basically says that a policeman must shoot a stray cat found in any public place in the city of Hibbing. Most of the people I talked to didn't believe the law existed either.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
That's terrible. That's
Don't you think that's terrible?
Oh, yeah.
Really? I have a cat. I love cats. I can't imagine shooting a cat.
Absolutely ridiculous. There's no such law. There couldn't be.
Or they thought it was just plain silly.
Well, okay.
But just before we left town, Hibbing's police chief caught up with us, and we found that the website was technically correct.
I did come back and look through the city statutes, and it is a statute under the 1022 regulations. And I can only assume what the thinking was behind this, but I am assuming that there was some diseased rabbit cats back then. I've been chief of police for the last year and a half, and we've selectively chosen not to enforce this statute.
So where does that leave us? Well, we've discovered that this is an actual law from the Hibbing Code of Laws back in the 1970s. The good news about all of this, though, is that the law is not currently enforced, and that the frisky felines of Hibbing are well loved and protected.
But if this law really does exist, what about some of the others on the site? Like, a person may not enter Wisconsin from Minnesota with a chicken, or some other types of birds on top of their head. All Minnesota bathtubs must have feet. It's illegal to wake a fireman in some parts of the Northland. Wake up! And all Minnesota toilets must be manually flushed.
So which of these really are laws and which are just urban legends? That actually is a very good question, and one you could answer yourself if you ever go visit the website. But I wouldn't advise testing it until you're absolutely sure.
In Duluth, Keith Marler, News 6.
With a resounding welcome, visitors entered the Duluth Congregational Church
for a different way to celebrate Thanksgiving.
Would you like to wear a pilgrim hat this year? How about you?
While some are wary of the pilgrim fashions, a special service lets people step back in time.
It's fun to get everybody into the spirit. The more people we get dressed up, the more festive it is, and it makes it a lot of fun.
A fun way to remember their roots.
It's part of our heritage. Our congregation is part of the long lineage of congregations that came over in the Mayflower.
More drums imitate the call to church of long ago. Nowadays, a hymn starts the service, but early pilgrims considered the organ to be the devil's bagpipes, so tunes were lined out by a member of the group.
God our Maker doth provide.
So the rest could follow along.
For the early Congregationalists, the first prayer was 15 minutes, the second prayer was a little over an hour, the sermon was over 2 hours, and so people came for the day to worship, and the tithing man helped them stay focused.
While prayers and sermons have shortened considerably over time, the urge to doze off still lingers, and that's where the tithing man steps in, to give tired women a tickle under the nose and sleeping men a rap on the head. Once the sermon is over, it's time for an offering and a final prayer.
To give God thanks for all He has provided. Amen.
And it's time to remember the real meaning of the holiday, giving thanks for so many gifts and blessings.
I'm thankful for my family, for the food.
It helps people remember historically what Thanksgiving is all about. And children way back in school learn about the pilgrims, and I think they see pictures of people in the costumes, and it helps take it back to the roots of the holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Just one of them, but there's other ones too.
I don't know. I think it is the only one in the world. Fish House Parade.
Therefore the largest.
And therefore the largest.
This is a traditional portable fish house. People put these things out in the lakes and they can take them in and off during the wintertime. And we're cooking up some lutefisk today.
And here's our deck. We've got our fire going here. We've got our lights. We're ice fishing on one side and summer fishing on the other.
I think it's a little warm out.
Might get a little sunburn out there.
What SPF do you got there?
I only got 4. I don't know if it's enough.
We're going to get burnt today.
Freezing. At least we're not in 4 feet of snow, regardless of if George likes snow.
What would you say if I told you there's going to be some mosquitoes out and buzzing around here today?
I wouldn't believe you.
You wouldn't run for the bug spray?
No.
Northern
No, it's too cold for that.
The mosquitoes in Aiken are tough. They go around year round.
Warm up.
I think they come out to see their neighbors and see how creative they are each and every year, because they had over 60 floats. Of course, a lot of kids wearing Green Bay Packer jackets, so I had to grab a couple of them, put them upside down. Matter of fact, one, and just towards the end of the parade, I picked them up and took them to a police officer, who, of course, arrested them for wearing a Green Bay Packer jacket.
There's almost every tree is almost perfect. Okay. They're almost too perfect. They almost look fake.
I think we still have to ask the hard questions about the tax increases and whether we actually need this.
This group of Two Harbors residents is hoping their message will be heard.
I don't want to tell anybody which way to vote, but I just want people to be more informed.
The group spent the afternoon passing out flyers filled with information opposing the referendum.
I don't trust the administration that we have right now to spend our money correctly.
They feel the issue hasn't been researched enough. They say it's way too expensive and building a new school is definitely not necessary.
A lot of people are very attached to the old school and believe that it's built solid as a rock and needs many, many repairs because it's been neglected for many years, but that it's absolutely repairable.
The group is also concerned that the campaign slogan, "Vote Yes for Kids," is sending out the wrong message. They want to make it clear that even if you vote no, that doesn't mean you're not concerned about the kids.
I'm not against kids, and I want people to feel that because they don't vote for this, that they're not against kids either. We're just against not using our money correctly.
They also question the timing of the referendum. While most school districts voted last November, this vote was moved to December.
They waited until the very last minute required by law. They moved the election from November till December when a lot of our seasonal residents are gone, when we have a chance of a snowstorm that would decrease the voting turnout. We have a lot of elderly in this community. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of real issues that the school district hasn't addressed.
The group says they're not against spending money on the schools, but they believe there's better options that need to be looked at.
I think that what we need to do is pull together as a community and solve the financial problems of the school and then go on to build a new one.
In Two Harbors, Jody Grayson, News 6. Snowcross racers couldn't wait to hit the track this year, especially after a warm, dry winter delayed the race for a week. The snow that sleds are kicking up now is all man-made, but racers say the thrill is still there.
It seems good. It's a fun track. I like to jump out there.
Fans are excited too, even if Spirit Mountain looks a little different from past snowcross races.
There's so much snow out on the track, but there's like none all anywhere else.
Still, younger fans wish they were out there, like the racing heroes.
It's fun to watch. I like going on the trails, I like going fast, I like going off jumps. It's just fun. Going fast, going up hills.
That we can't read is right, Callies.
Team mechanics say they hope the track stays nice and white, because their job gets a lot harder when it's muddy.
I think they're going to have to make some snow if they can one of these nights, but looks like there's a big base.
Well, speaking from mechanics' view, it's real bad. We gotta tear the sled apart, pretty much rebuild it from the ground up when it gets muddy and dirty like this. It's really bad.
But even with this year's unique race conditions, folks say they think snowcross will be a great start to the racing season.
I wish Mother Nature would cooperate a little bit with some snow, but I still think we're gonna have a real fun weekend.
In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Festive music and a full house at the Chisholm High School auditorium, where State Senator Jerry Januzich put in his bid for U.S. Senate.
Ever since I was this big, John Kennedy got elected president. I was 10 years old. I fell in love with politics. And I would sit on the steps with my grandmother, and we would talk about this very day.
And Januzich is already getting much support in his bid to oust Republican Rod Grams. From a first-time voter at Chisholm High School who played in today's band.
We were practicing for about a week, preparing for this ceremony.
To a steel worker in Biwabik.
It's always exciting that people from the Iron Range are capable and willing to take on situations like this.
But while support on the range is great, to take on Grams, Janicic knows he needs big-name recognition outside the Arrowhead region.
I mean, every day I'm doing things. Since August, I've been pounding. In fact, I'll tell you what, look at this though. I got to put new heels and soles because that's what we've been doing, and that's the only way I know how to do it.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
U.S. Representative Jim Oberstar announced his support for Janicic at a rally in Duluth later in the day.
I am delighted that a person of vision, of vigor, of energy, of ideals is willing to commit all that he is, all that he has been, and all that he promises to be to serve the state of Minnesota in the United States Senate.
Janicic says housing, jobs, education, and early childhood education are big issues in his campaign. The Chisholm businessman says he knows he's got his work cut out for him before January's AFL-CIO endorsement and this summer's DFL endorsement. But he's positive starting out on a very long road to victory.
We're going to get up earlier, we're going to go to bed later, we're going to work harder. I mean, we're going to win.
Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Anything else?
Business has definitely been good for us.
They say it all started with a couple of used computers, and now business partners Stephen Dastour and Sean Dean run the Sighton Computer Corporation. The Duluth company builds computers and servers to customers' specifications, turning empty shells into a company's computer lifeline.
You've got a video card, you've got the processor, then you've got some peripheral devices. We've got a CD-ROM drive, a floppy drive, and obviously a power supply. And each one of these components is critical. It's kind of like a marriage of these various components.
Sighton is growing fast. Dastour and Dean say business has quadrupled in the last 3 years. They say the UMD Center for Economic Development helped them get their start 6 years ago.
It's a minefield when you're starting a business, all the different paperwork that you need to file. And they're there for you. They can help you with your business plan, and they can help you with your financials. And those are crucial.
Now that the center is in its new location at the Technology Village, Director Stephen Martyr hopes he will be able to help even more businesses like Sighton.
This is a state-of-the-art computer lab.
With new facilities for research, business workshops, and computer training.
It's exciting. You know, my personality thrives on these types of things. I like to do cutting edge, and that's what we're doing. We're doing cutting edge.
High-tech work on computers provided by, guess who? Sighton.
It's ideal for us. They've helped us a lot in growing our business, and it's nice to be able to come back and help them too.
A relationship that helped a startup computer company really take off.
We never thought it would turn into this. Some of the ideas we bounced around were kind of funny ideas, and it's absolutely fantastic that it basically turned into this. So we have a lot of fun with what we do.
In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
For decades, doctors have been telling patients bed rest, aspirin, and fluids are about all you can do for a cold. Most colds take about a week to run their course. But now, a new experimental drug may make a major difference in the treatment of the common cold.
My nose is all stuffed up.
That phlegm that gets stuck in the back of your mouth, that's the worst.
There's not much you can do for them.
Many experts are calling this new drug phenomenal. Its name is pleconeril, and research shows it's effective against 70% of the viruses that cause colds.
The compound has shown activity against that group of viruses in the laboratory and has also shown activity in clinical trials.
Pleconeril will decrease the length of the cold by 3 to 4 days, which means many colds can be cut in half. You may even feel better the next day.
Take a big breath.
This drug means a whole lot more than just curing colds. Many cases of pneumonia, sinusitis, and asthma, and almost all cases of ear infections are preceded by a cold. Julie is a nurse who had a cold last week, but she entered a study and got either pleconeril or a placebo. She thinks she got the real thing.
The next day I started to feel better. I didn't have any more muscle aches. The cough started to improve. I still had a little bit of a cough.
The new drug sounds great, but doctors caution that it may not take away all the symptoms immediately. And Plenconerol has to be used within the first 24 to 36 hours for it to work.
We're looking at 745 priority, 740 parcel post.
With Christmas just 2 weeks away, thousands of Northlanders are scrambling to get their gifts in the mail now so that they can reach their destination in time to greet anxious youngsters come Christmas morning.
Well, as usual, we're pretty busy here at Christmas time. It's been a little bit slow this year in starting, and I think partially that's because there isn't any snow on the ground yet.
Not surprisingly, workers here say a slow start can mean an even busier end, as people rush to squeeze all their holiday mailing chores into just a few days. But postal workers like Wayne Askelson say they don't mind the last-minute mail crunch.
I'm just getting started warmed up. I actually enjoy it. The busier it is, the faster your day goes by, and it's just fun working with the people at Christmas.
One of the things postal workers say they enjoy most about their job is the chance to help out good old St. Nick.
You start to see a lot of the letters addressed to Santa Claus at the North Pole, and you know, it's amusing and cute to see.
So do you have a good service going to the North Pole? Do you have a good line up there?
Yeah, it's an express. It goes straight up there. He lets us borrow one of his sleighs, and we just zoom it right back up there as soon as we can.
But even with the Santa Express, the post office says it's still best to mail early.
Mail early and come to the Postal Service early in the day if possible. We also advise people to mail their packages by priority mail. We're only 2 weeks from Christmas now, so it's important that we get a jump on things.
But if you're like most of us, Christmas shopping is almost never done on time, let alone early. So to make sure there's no sad faces this Christmas morning, the post office has hired a special delivery person to help out.
Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. Thank you.
Well, we will be delivering Christmas Day via express mail, and here in Duluth we'll be having Santa Claus delivering express mail. So theoretically, if you really procrastinated, you could mail on Christmas Eve and get it delivered on Christmas Day.
In Duluth, Craig Zleeman, News 6.
Judge Gary Peglia said he heard arguments to move the trial out of Carleton County, and also whether to throw out or keep Blum's confession he made in early September, only to later recant it. Statements the victim's brother says Blum should have to live with.
I mean, he said it. I mean, he admitted it. It's pure and simple. I mean, it's ridiculous that, you know, you say something, then you can turn around and recant it.
In this 56-page statement, Blum told how he made Katie Poyer run out of the convenience store and then drove her to his mobile home 10 miles away. And Blum adding, quote, "I don't know if it was just out of guilt or something, or whatever, feeling stupid, but then I choked her and killed her." Then he says, quote, "I threw her body in the fire pit and started a fire."
Would the bone fragments on the Moose Lake property be Katie Poyer's? Yes.
That was Blum's attorney 3 months ago. He wanted to take back what he said then, and his client said, maintaining since Blum's statement was part of a deal that never went through, it should be tossed out. But the prosecutor maintains Blum began giving his statement before any talk of a deal was on the table, and for that reason the confession should be admissible. And as for those bone fragments found on Blum's property, an anthropological report concludes the bones are from only one human being, commingled with non-human remains. But the fragments were so charred experts were unable to determine whose bones they were, or even if they belonged to a female. The judge has given lawyers another week to submit additional arguments, meaning any decisions will not come until at least Christmas week, at the very earliest, something that dismayed the victim's grandfather.
What's the drag out? Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get it put away.
cold and windy. But the boxes are warm. They kind of keep the wind out.
Insulation.
Nine-week-old Scott Evan Anderson was baptized this Sunday, but on this special day, his father was not there to hold him. Little Scott Evan's only memories of his father will come from stories, pictures, and videotape. Pilot Scott Anderson died in a plane crash in March. Young Scott Evan was born 7 months later.
It was a very special day. It was also a very difficult day without Scott.
But Scott's wife Lori says holding her son eases her grief, bringing back memories of her husband.
He looks a lot like his dad. Yeah. Scott didn't have a lot of hair.
Memories of a man who has left an impression in many people's hearts.
It's also nice to know that Scott continues to be remembered, and that there's just been a large community outreach which extends beyond Duluth.
In the Twin Cities, more than 500 people attended a fundraiser for Scott's son, and fellow F-16 pilots commanded flight simulators like this one for 5 hours, raising money for young Scott Evans' education. Lori Anderson says such community support is overwhelming.
It's just been incredible, and in many ways very difficult because I feel like I can't repay everyone. So, but we're very appreciative of that.
Small gestures from strangers and friends, which will become part of the memories.
I think that they'll just help to show him who his dad was, to show him the types of things that his dad liked to do. So.
Almost every afternoon, these senior citizens head to the Cloquet Armory to talk and laugh with friends while enjoying a good hot meal.
If we didn't serve the meals to them, they would be in nursing homes or or in hospitals a lot more often. But because we're able to keep, feeding them, they get at least one nutrition meal every day.
The Arrowhead Senior Dining Program provides meals at various sites throughout the region. Today, they're enjoying tacos that are prepared by a handful of volunteers. Coolers packed with even more meals are loaded into cars and delivered to elders who are homebound, all for under $3.
It's based on a donation program. You can donate whatever you can, at least $2.50 we would like. But it's whatever they can afford that they'll donate.
Due to a loss of funding, several operations are having to make some changes. In St. Louis County, the program lost nearly $33,000 this year because of legislative cuts and layoffs.
We've also had some funding difficulties and some shortfalls within the social service department in St. Louis County, which has caused us to have to cut back on home-delivered meals.
But organizers are hopeful they can make the necessary cuts in order to keep the program going.
We're watching our criteria very closely. Our social service specialists and social workers are screening people very carefully so that the real needy still are able to get the meals.
And as long as some form of funding is available, well, these volunteers say they'll keep on cooking. Jody Grayson, News 6.
Catch the puck, then worry about what to do.
It's a special bond, one person coaching another with special responsibility.
Let's go, boys.
People are entrusting you with their children.
But a chills hit Elk River Sports, and it's not here on the ice.
Kind of disgusting, revolting.
It was in the water, where authorities say the lines blurred.
We thought the danger was from the water.
Superintendent David Flannery says the summer swim instructor's gone, but the shadow he cast is not. Today, Sherburne County authorities filed 19 counts of second-degree criminal sexual conduct against 20-year-old Barrett Ross Cook for inappropriate touch.
We would have said barring this incident, that was one of our better hires. He was a student who was a student of ours, a graduate of our schools.
The criminal complaint says Cook had contact with 8 girls ages 7 to 10. In some incidents, he's accused of putting his hand or fingers inside the swimsuits and touching either the buttocks or genital area. And he told one girl to keep it a secret.
He was asked whether it was accidental, and he's agreeing that some of it was not accidental.
The county attorney says a lot of the contact was underwater.
They're trying to sort out in their own minds what's appropriate touch, what's inappropriate touch. And it's clear here that there was inappropriate, illegal touch.
Remember that. Pressure's on.
Back at hockey practice, some parents call it a once-in-a-lifetime incident. Still, they're on their guard.
I think it's a parent's responsibility to get to know the people that your kids are with, especially if they're going to be alone, unsupervised.
If you haven't already reserved your tickets for the New Year's Eve party hosted by St. Mary's, you're out of luck. The blowout event at the deck sold out months ahead of time this year, but folks are still looking for a grand gala to welcome the new millennium.
I mean, I've heard from people I haven't heard from for years, can you help me get tickets? I said, I'm sorry, we have nothing to do with it.
No, Paul Madsen isn't in charge of tickets, but as head chef at the deck, he's on top of everything else.
Let's see, and here we got napkins.
Okay. From checking on the 15,000 cocktail napkins in storage to making sure there will be plenty of bubbly for the more than 3,600 partiers.
Well, early in the year they told us that there was going to be a shortage of champagne because of the millennium, so we made arrangements early to make sure that we could get and have enough wine for that night.
Madsen's countdown is on for the big night, and supplies are just arriving, like the 12,000 egg rolls and 300-pound ice blocks.
That's going to be I think there's a dragon in there. We're going to make, I understand it's the year of the dragon, the year 2000. So we're going to make a couple of dragons we're going to have for centerpieces in the food area.
Even if you missed your chance at the deck, there are plenty of ways to celebrate in style around the Northland.
I know a lot of people that are going out to celebrate this one because they think it's special.
Brady Hicken hopes lots of midnight revelers will come to the Barker's Island Inn in Superior for an evening of dancing, champagne, and a diamond giveaway. And it's the party of the century at the North Shore Theater in Duluth with a lineup of live bands.
But I think with the millennium, it's just a lot more people are going to come out for this year. And just to say they were out when it hit midnight and nothing happened.
Just a few of the many festive ways to brave Y2K. Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Basement of this church to talk about Y2K.
But the basic connection of the report being
all of them are ready. There is absolutely no reason to worry. There's not going to be a problem with any of these functions, any of these services that are being provided.
They need a tap.
That was a pretty big sled though, huh?
Yeah.
We've had folks stop by who, don't have a heck of a lot in their life, but, as one gentleman told me one year as he handed me his last $3, he said, there are people that have less than this. I want to give something. And that is truly moving and wonderful.
It may be 5 days before Christmas, but Santa Claus has already visited the Salvation Army in Duluth. As parents arrive to choose toys for their kids, people like Edith Lee, a mother of 8.
Help to provide toys for all the kids. The food helps with food for the kids. Every bit helps.
You're my friend. Row after row, table after table, new toys lie waiting for a child. Toboggans, basketballs, Legos. Edith picks out dolls and games for her kids.
Now for the 3-year-old, you're getting this part here.
Parents are helped through the process by volunteers, people like Lorraine Dewey, whose son passed away in October. Helping others helps Lorraine deal with her loss.
Well, Christmas time now hits me, and so I want to keep busy. If you think you're helping somebody, it's a little better.
When families come here, they're allowed to pick up a huge stuffed bear or stuffed animal, and even a small one, to share with their families this holiday season.
Many kids will also receive bikes like this one, donated through KISS Radio. And then there's the food.
Here comes one.
A complete turkey dinner for Christmas.
This really helps us meet the ends where food on the table, especially for the families that have the little ones at home.
The Salvation Army will help 1,500 families like Terry's and Edith's this year.
They're so overwhelmed that somebody in the community would care enough to help us to help them, and it's just beautiful.
And after a half hour or so, Edith wraps up her holiday shopping and gets ready to start wrapping her children's Christmas presents. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
When the temperature drops below freezing, fighting fires becomes a more dangerous job. Flames and heat aren't the only enemies then. Cold and ice become hazards too.
You're worried about frostbite because everybody's feet or hands get cold. You can hang on to something, but you can't really get a grip because everything is frozen. It's like working with ice cubes on your hands.
Ice even builds up in their masks, making it difficult to see and breathe. And with water flowing on the streets, over equipment and onto the firefighters, ice is everywhere.
What we worry about more when it's like this is more falls, more sprains and more strains because the ground is so unsure.
If you're climbing up a ladder on the outside of the building, if you're not hanging on for dear life, you're going to come down.
Freezing equipment also makes the job harder. Ladders get stuck, axes are slick, and water lines can freeze.
We have heaters inside here, but sometimes they just can't keep up. When you get below freezing, that kind of stuff, it's not much you can do.
Crews say the only thing they can do to beat the heat and the cold is to increase their people power and just keep on fighting. In Duluth, Gianna Katsuyama, News 6.
A short time ago, an individual was interviewed at the Duluth Police Headquarters and has provided us with some information that gave us probable cause to believe he was involved in the death.
The suspect was immediately taken to the St. Louis County Jail. Police believe he may have known the victim. They plan to charge the man with second-degree murder. Meanwhile, neighbors of Stephen Smith told us they hadn't seen him all weekend.
I didn't think he was home. I hadn't seen him since Saturday night.
We didn't see any tracks of anybody coming or going, so we just figured that he had taken off someplace and just hadn't come home yet.